going to take a little time to talk about a couple of tricky and I think poorly understood things in scrap mechanic. The first one actually isn't all that tricky or poorly understood. It's that that logic gates are not computed instantly. They are computed over time. They they have this notion of a tick, which you see illustrated in the game in the fact that this is called a 9-tick timer. And the first thing I want to demonstrate is that it is not in fact a 9-tick timer, it's a 10-tick timer. Now this circuit is pretty straightforward. That we have this OR gate which is connected to either a button or a switch for convenience, and then the AND gate goes into the timer and it's just directly connected from one AND gate to the other all the way around. And then we get here, this AND gate is just connected to this switch, which I'm gonna turn on, and then ominous foreshadowing paint it. Now this kind of illustrates the tickiness of it. That first I flipped this on very briefly. This OR gate became true. It fed into this timer, and then a little while later, the signal went all the way around. And it seems like things happen instantly in the game if you have just like a couple of switches connected to an XOR gate, and hey, you flip a switch and the door opens, and there's no delay. And with most logic circuits, the tick speed is sufficiently fast that you would never even notice it if you weren't doing something complicated like having like a memory bit. And the memory bits can be vulnerable to this happening. This is a simple SR flip-flop. This is an OR gate connected to an OR gate, connected to this AND gate, and back around. It's a classic design, and it works fine until it doesn't. And the reason why it fails is because I clicked the button really, really fast, and in order for this circuit to actually land in a stable state, the button has to be on for 3 ticks. That is 1 to get the thing started, and then it has to be also on by the time the signal makes its way around the circuit, and so that's why this thing glitched out. So that's pretty much what there is to say about ticks. Now the next thing I want to talk about is saved state, and that's a thing that I think that is, I don't know, you might be surprised to see what happens here. So nothing behind my back, not doing anything fancy. Whoops. I'm just going to throw down this, and then I'm going to turn this one on and then connect it. This one I'm going to just connect. That one I'm just going to connect. And let's go ahead and ramp this up to a decent height. And this one up to a decent height. And I'm going to turn this one on. I turn this one on. And this one I'm going to paint. Now, turn them all off. Actually, I'm going to leave that one on. This is the one that didn't get any treatment at all. We just connected it, and that was it. And now I'm going to exit the game. Now, by the way, what I'm saying here is there's definitely an asterisk that we need to talk about with regard to survival mode and all the things that I'm telling you here. But you can see we just logged in and a number of things happened. These two guys, which were both in the off position, suddenly turned themselves on, and this switch here that was in the on position suddenly turned itself off. And And the reason why is because of this idea of saved state. That is, I turned it on, but if I exit the game and come back, this thing will come back off because its saved state is off. And what causes the state to be saved is the state of the thing at the time that you did something to it. Like, for instance, rewiring it. I'm going to rewire this one. Now it'll be in the save state of off because that's the position it is now. And this one, let's paint it green. That's its new save state because it's there. And this one, well, I could paint it, but it doesn't matter because it's, it's already off. And so now, if I exit, and return to the game, everything is going to be just sitting there, nothing fancy. And then we have this guy. What happened to him? Why is he going berserk? We didn't leave it in a go on berserk state. Why is it that way? And the reason is because the save state applies to switches, perhaps buttons, I don't know, and logic gates, not to timers, and we can prove that. And let's go ahead and prove a little better about how this happens with the logic gates. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this on and turn this whole thing off, and I'm going to paint a couple of things. Let's be obvious which one. I'm going to paint these two logic gates. I'm going to turn everything off. I'm going to exit the game. And then we'll be coming right back in. And now all of a sudden we have these two dingbags going through the system. And the reason why we have them is because they came from these two that I had painted when they were in the true state. So if I come back here and paint, or unpaint them, it doesn't matter. If we exit, and then immediately come right back, we can see that our glitch is gone, and this circuit's still bad. And then if we play the same game again, we paint that guy, and remember we painted it when it was full. But when we came back, we're not seeing any, big long nine tick blob floating around the system. And that's because when you save, when you exit, kind of like with these guys, where remember when we came back, that it knows that the piston is extended, and it remembers that on exit. And it knows that the timer is empty, and it remembers that on exit. But whether this logic gate is on or off, it's not part of the game. For whatever weird scrap mechanic reasons, they don't save it on exit. So that means that particularly in creative mode, if you have a permanent build, what you want to do is paint things in the configuration that you want them to be in when you come back. Now, there are a couple of things that trigger this effect. It's not just painting and rewiring. The other thing that'll do it is taking a thing off of a lift. That is, as soon as if we were to take this thing and put it on a lift, then it would basically wipe the state of everything. When we put it on, we would have this memory bit would be flipping like crazy because it started in the all zero state, and that's an unstable state. And any paint that we, any save state that we might have put on these buttons, it'll be gone, as soon as you put it on the lift. And then if we flip them while it's on the lift, and then take it off the lift, that flip state becomes the save state. So, and then there's another thing that can do it, and that's in survival mode. If you exit the scene, that is to say, if you've probably noticed in survival that if you drive a certain distance away from your base, it very suddenly disappears from view, no matter how huge it is, right? If it's something that should be visible from space, it won't be, because Scrap Mechanic, has a mechanic that to save, to keep performance good, it takes things out of memory, and when it takes things out of memory, it saves them in that condition. Now, when it comes to the save load mechanic, like I said, it's really annoying in creative mode, because as far as I know, in creative mode, no matter how far something is away, like I've got that silly build way over there, it'll still remain loaded. So if you want to make a permanent creation in creative mode that takes advantage of a memory bit, then it better be something that doesn't mind if you log out and log back in and suddenly the memory bit is in a different condition. So again, in survival mode, it has those kinds of mechanics, but even then you can get into trouble. Let me illustrate one that burned me with this stuff, and it was simply my the circuit that I had built up to operate my my defenses for my farm in survival mode. And I had what the pistons that would come down and smoosh any mobs that got close to my base when the time came, and I wanted to leave it on all the time. And with the way that the save mechanic works, this bit over here is gonna cause a bit of mayhem. Now I'm going to paint it now. I don't know what save state it's in, but now the save state is on. And so if I exit the game while the thing is off, when I come back into the game, there's a little blip. And the blip arises from the fact that when I saved and reloaded, it's the saved state, came in and interjected itself, even though, the timer, was keeping it safe. And so basically anytime I save and reload, while the base is in frame, I get one of these little things, right? Which over time, will cause, once you build up a few of them, they become, much more noticeable. I think if we speed up the speed, you can see that glitch, right there, a little bit more so. And so, for this reason and just the general yucks, I created this Scrap Mechanics logic gate simulator anyway, it's a website, and it allows you to simulate some of these more dippy little effects, and and be able to debug your system without having to go through the time of logging in and logging out, and being able to step through things. And so with the Logic Gate simulator, you could really get a handle on what's happening when that happens, and be able to design your own mitigations against these kinds of things in circuits that that might be vulnerable to these problems. So anyway, I hope you learned something, and like I said, the Logic Gate simulator is out there, and it's just a labor of love. And so It could always be better. If you have contributions you'd like to make, you just submit a GitHub issue, or clone the repo and make your own contribution. Anyway, thanks for watching.